You've walked past it, tasted it, tossed it without thought. But what if I told you that this ordinary grain, salt, carries a vibration so sacred, so powerful, that when placed in the right space of your home, it could shift your financial reality? This is not superstition. This is spiritual intelligence forgotten by the modern world. In ancient times, salt wasn't seasoning. It was currency. It was covenant. It was a bridge between heaven and earth, a divine signal that declared purity, protection, and preservation. You've heard of gold, incense, and oil as sacred gifts. But salt? Salt was the quiet miracle, the invisible shield. And today, it's coming back into your life for a reason. Joseph Murphy often said that what you align with, you attract, that thoughts charged with faith create reality. But what happens when your thoughts, your faith, and a sacred object are brought into agreement? That's when energy shifts. That's when old blockages dissolve. That's when your home becomes a beacon, not of hustle, but of harmony. You see, salt carries memory. Energetically, it absorbs what doesn't belong and holds what is sacred. It doesn't decay. It doesn't spoil. And when you place it in a space charged with intention, especially the one room most people ignore, something begins to move. Not just around you, but within you. This isn't magic. This is alignment. This is the earth agreeing with heaven. And now, for reasons far deeper than chance, this message has found you. You're not just being told where to place salt. You're being invited to remember what it represents. Because when your space becomes sacred, your life becomes magnetic. And that's when abundance walks through doors that were once invisible. Salt is one of the simplest substances on earth, and yet it holds one of the most complex spiritual signatures. To the eyes, it's just a crystal. But to the soul, awakened and attentive, it's a conductor of divine order. Its structure is stable, geometric, timeless. And like all things that endure, it vibrates with purpose. In the language of vibration, everything that exists gives off energy. Every thought, every word, every object. Salt is unique among them because it doesn't just emit frequency. It absorbs and stabilizes it. That's why oceans, filled with salt, are nature's great purifiers. That's why salt preserves food, sanctifies offerings, and in sacred texts represents unshakable covenant. Joseph Murphy taught that your outer world is a mirror of your inner vibration, that whatever you feel deeply, believe consistently, and declare with confidence eventually shows up as your experience. Salt, when used with sacred intention, becomes an amplifier of that inner belief. Not because it's magic, but because it is structure, and structure holds frequency. When you bring salt into a space prayerfully, you are not casting spells. You are adjusting energy. You are speaking a language creation understands. You are reminding your environment that peace is your baseline, that clarity is your atmosphere, that abundance is your birthright. And the universe, always listening, always responding, realigns itself to match your signal. Salt doesn't need to be loud. It works in silence, restoring balance molecule by molecule, vibration by vibration. And when placed where energy rests, where you sleep, dream, and recharge, it becomes a silent servant of order, absorbing what doesn't belong and anchoring what does. This is not ritual, it's resonance. Joseph Murphy devoted his life to revealing a truth that ancient mystics always knew, but the modern world has long forgotten. That your outer life is not a result of fate or external conditions, but of inner belief, spoken word, and energetic alignment. He believed that your subconscious mind, when filled with images of wealth, peace, and success, becomes a magnet to those very things. And this isn't poetry. This is law. Murphy didn't speak of prayer as begging. He described it as creative command. He taught that every word you speak, especially when repeated with conviction, becomes a seed planted deep within your subconscious. And just like a seed placed in fertile soil, it doesn't ask if it will grow. It only needs the right condition to flourish. The condition is belief. The water is repetition. The sunlight is emotion. Now imagine combining that process, thought plus word plus emotion, with a physical substance that conducts energy and stabilizes vibration. That's where salt becomes more than seasoning. It becomes a spiritual point of contact. You are not just thinking abundance. You are anchoring it. You are giving your faith structure. Joseph Murphy would call this a covenant act, using the visible to activate the invisible. He often said, "The subconscious does not reason things out. It simply accepts what is impressed upon it." When you place salt in your bedroom with intention, you are not hoping for change. You are impressing the subconscious with a message. This space is blessed. This ground is sacred. This mind is ready. And once the subconscious accepts that, your life begins to follow. Murphy also emphasized the power of atmosphere. He knew that the energy in your surroundings either supports your vision or suffocates it. Your home, especially your bedroom, must align with the vibration of what you want to receive. If your atmosphere is cluttered with chaos, fear, or doubt, your inner world echoes that dissonance. But when you cleanse that space with salt, a substance that absorbs distortion, you create harmony. And harmony is the birthplace of miracles. This isn't just spiritual philosophy. Even science supports this. Studies show that physical space influences psychological states. When your room is clean, intentional, and energetically grounded, your mind becomes more focused, your emotions more stable, your body more rested. Now add prayer, add faith, add a grain of salt charged with belief, and you're no longer just living. You're co-creating. Joseph Murphy's message was always this: you are not a victim of circumstance. You are a vessel of divine power. Your thoughts are not empty. Your words are not weak. And your actions, especially those infused with spiritual clarity, reshape reality. So when you take something as simple as salt, bless it with your voice, and place it in the sacred center of your home, you're not performing a superstition. You're fulfilling a universal law. The same energy that built galaxies responds to your faith. And when faith meets intention, even the smallest act, a pinch of salt, a whispered word, can open doors no man can shut. It's the one room in your house where you spend more time unconscious than aware. And that's exactly why it matters more than you think. Your bedroom isn't just a place for sleep. It's a spiritual chamber where the subconscious mind awakens. It is here, in stillness, that your energy either recharges or fragments. It is here that your prosperity is either welcomed or delayed. Joseph Murphy taught that the subconscious mind never sleeps. While your conscious thoughts rest, your deeper self remains fully alert, absorbing everything: the energy in the room, the emotional residue of the day, the hidden vibrations in the objects that surround you. That means your prosperity isn't just affected by what you say during the day. It's shaped by the atmosphere you rest in at night. That's why salt belongs here, in the bedroom, the temple of alignment. Salt, as a vibrational stabilizer, works in silence. It absorbs emotional noise, neutralizes energetic distortion, and elevates the frequency of your resting space. When placed with intention, near your bed but never under it, it becomes a guardian of energy. ensuring that your rest restores more than your body. It restores your connection to abundance. Think about it. How many nights have you slept a full 8 hours and still woken up anxious, unfocused, or heavy? That's not a sleep problem. That's an energetic interference. Your room, if filled with clutter, disorder, or electronic pollution, sends confused signals to your subconscious, and a confused subconscious creates a scattered life. But when your bedroom is clean, centered, peaceful, and intentionally charged with something sacred like salt, everything begins to shift. Your dreams become clearer. Your mind becomes calmer. Your mornings become fertile ground for new ideas and divine direction. Because rest isn't just a physical reset, it's a spiritual repositioning. Ancient cultures treated bedrooms as sanctuaries, sacred spaces, not storage rooms. No open trash bins, no mirrors facing the bed, no chaotic piles of unfinished business. Why? Because these symbols speak to the subconscious. Disorder invites delay, but order invites overflow. When you purify your bedroom, you're not just making your space more pleasant, you're sending a signal to the universe. I am ready to receive. And when salt is placed in that purified space, it doesn't just sit. It listens. It works. It opens the gate for financial flow to return through the most personal, quiet, and often neglected place in your home, your rest. When faith meets structure, energy moves. That is the spiritual foundation behind the salt and water ritual. It isn't folklore. It isn't magic. It is one of the most ancient ways of bringing heaven's frequency into physical form. And when done with clarity and intention, it becomes more than a gesture. It becomes a gateway. Water is a conductor. Salt is a stabilizer. When combined and spoken over, they become a vessel, a living transmitter that absorbs discord, purifies space, and holds the vibration of your spoken word. This is why it must be done with reverence, not casually, not in a rush. Because when the unseen is involved, your attention becomes your invitation. Begin with a clear glass, not metal, not plastic. Glass represents clarity and reflection. Fill it with the cleanest water you have access to. This isn't just water anymore. It's symbolic substance, a carrier of frequency. Then, gently add 3 tablespoons of salt, not hurried. Count them. 1, 2, 3. With each spoonful, speak as though the atmosphere is listening, because it is. Now stir it clockwise, slowly, for 3 minutes. Why clockwise? Because in energetic tradition, clockwise motion represents forward movement, divine progression, and manifestation. While stirring, speak words not of request, but of declaration. Say, "This salt cleanses and purifies my life." Speak it with faith. Say it as if what you declare is already happening, because in truth, it is. Science, too, acknowledges this. Dr. Masaru Emoto's research revealed that water physically changes form when exposed to words, music, and human emotion. Under a microscope, water exposed to love, gratitude, or prayer forms intricate, harmonious crystals. Water exposed to hatred or fear becomes distorted, chaotic. This means your words, your tone, your belief alter reality one molecule at a time. Once the mixture is prepared and the words spoken, place the glass in your bedroom, near your bed, on a table, never under the bed. That glass becomes more than decoration. It is now an altar of purification, absorbing the low frequencies in the space while holding the vibration of your intention. Leave it there. Watch it over time. If it turns cloudy, don't be afraid. It means it's working. The salt is doing what it was made to do. Cleanse, neutralize, and prepare the path for blessing. When the water darkens, or loses clarity, dispose of it. Pour it down the toilet, never into a sink where you prepare food or clean sacred items. Speak a short prayer of release and replace it with a fresh mix. This keeps the energy in motion. This keeps your atmosphere alive. Prosperity, after all, is flow, and salt opens the stream. This isn't about superstition. It's about faith meeting frequency. It's about giving your belief structure, giving your atmosphere new instructions, and giving heaven something to work through. You're not asking for wealth, you're making room for it. And salt, blessed and placed with intention, becomes the spiritual signal that says, I'm ready. You can say all the right affirmations, visualize your dreams, and pray with intensity. But if the energy around you is heavy, scattered, or stagnant, your results will reflect that. Because energy doesn't lie. Your space tells the truth about your alignment, even when your words try to say otherwise. Every room in your home carries a frequency. Some rooms feel welcoming, others feel dense. Some inspire, others drain. These sensations aren't random. They are your body's way of interpreting invisible energy fields. And your financial life is directly linked to the vibration of your physical space. You don't attract wealth through effort alone. You attract it through energetic coherence. When Joseph Murphy taught about the subconscious mind, he wasn't only referring to thought. He was pointing to a state of being, a vibration that governs your outcomes. If your home reflects disorder, emotional residue, or mental noise, your subconscious absorbs that message and mirrors it through lack, delay, and disruption in your outer world. Salt, in its sacred simplicity, offers a reset, not because it holds magical powers, but because it honors universal principles: absorption, purification, elevation. When placed intentionally, salt begins to draw out the energy that is no longer serving you. It doesn't ask questions. It doesn't judge. It simply restores harmony. But this goes deeper than placement. Look at what surrounds the salt. Is the surface cluttered? Is there dust where the light should rest? Are there symbols of heaviness, unpaid bills, broken objects, or things you keep just in case? These are all anchors of energy, and they speak to your subconscious in silence. This is who you are. This is what you expect. And so, life responds accordingly. But when you clean that space, center it, bless it, and then place the salt, you're rewriting the script. You're telling your environment, this is a place where abundance is welcome, where clarity reigns, where miracles feel at home. And once your space begins to align, your financial flow follows. You'll begin to notice small shifts, unexpected opportunities, peace in the place where stress once lived, a clearer mind, a more focused spirit, a deeper connection to divine direction. These are not coincidences. They are reflections of new alignment. Because when your space changes, you change. And when you change, your world does too. Some acts echo louder in the spirit than in sound. Placing salt in your sacred space may seem simple, even invisible to others. But in the unseen realm, it's a declaration, a covenant, a signal to both heaven and the energy around you that alignment has begun. And when that alignment takes root, reality starts to respond in ways that cannot be explained, only witnessed. The moment you place the salt, you initiate a reset. The room feels different, lighter, more spacious. Not because the walls moved, but because the vibration changed. Fear softens. Mental clutter fades. Rest deepens. This is not imagination. It's energetic shift. The kind Joseph Murphy spoke of when he said that once your subconscious accepts an idea, your entire life begins to reflect it. But the transformation isn't only internal. Finances shift, Not always with fireworks, but with flow. A debt is canceled. A check arrives. A conversation opens a door you didn't even know existed. These aren't accidents. They are echoes of alignment. When you align your energy, heaven begins to move in the spaces you prepared. You'll feel yourself walking differently, speaking with more clarity, making decisions from peace instead of panic. Why? Because your home is no longer just a container for your belongings. It has become a container for divine energy, a place where the covenant between thought, word, and matter is alive and active. Salt may sit in silence, but what it symbolizes does not. It represents healing, covenant, and order. It doesn't ask for wealth. It doesn't plead for miracles. It says, "This house is ready. This vessel is prepared. This energy is aligned." And the universe, which always listens, answers in kind. When heaven and earth agree, lack loses its grip. Delay has no place. The flow begins. Not because you begged, but because you believed. The salt, small as it is, becomes a beacon, pulling in peace, pushing out chaos, making room for what has always belonged to you: abundance. The world will call it coincidence, luck, timing. But those who know the laws of energy understand. When things begin to shift after a sacred act, it's not random, it's response. The prosperity that begins to flow when you purify your space with salt is not a reward. It's a reaction to spiritual permission finally being granted. Joseph Murphy didn't teach superstition. He taught structure, a blueprint for how thought, belief, and action shape the fabric of life. He reminded us that the universe doesn't favor the loud or the desperate. It responds to clarity, to certainty, to energy in alignment with divine law. The ritual of placing salt in your sacred space, your bedroom, your temple of rest, is not magic. It's cooperation with divine principle. You're not begging God for prosperity. You're declaring that your space, your mind, and your spirit are now aligned with the frequency that attracts it. This is not charm, it's covenant. Salt was always a symbol of permanence. In the ancient world, salt sealed agreements. It represented loyalty, preservation, unshakable connection. So when you place salt with prayer, you're not hoping for temporary favor. You're stepping into sustained alignment. One that doesn't dissolve under pressure. One that doesn't vanish in silence. One that echoes. Prosperity was never far. It was simply waiting for room to enter, waiting for the atmosphere to welcome it, waiting for your vibration to match its presence. And now that you've cleared the space, spoken the word, made the act, it arrives, quietly, steadily, faithfully. So if you feel the peace after the ritual, if the air seems softer, if doors begin to open, understand this. Nothing changed outside you until something changed within you. You didn't unlock abundance. You unlocked yourself. And now that you've remembered your power, your words, your covenant, lack can no longer find its place in your home. Because where law is honored, overflow follows.